All right, you guys, time for another plant profile of great useful plants. This guy is Callicarpa longissima, and it's a beautyberry. Now, there is the Callicarpa americana, which is our native beautyberry that's everywhere in our wild spaces. And a lot of people don't know this, but the berries are edible. They're a little bit resinous, so, you know, rosemary, pine needle kind of flavor, but there is sweetness to them, and they won't hurt you at all. Now, this one is a little bit more tropical, subtropical, but the berries are much less resinous and much sweeter, and I like them a lot. So the birds like them too. First off, I want to say it's wilting because it's really, really dry, and this plant, just like everybody out here, is not getting any supplemental irrigation, so it's just going to be droopy and sad. The other cool thing about this plant is this plant throws down to the ground like flat. So all of this is just from last January. But anyway, they look like this and they taste like sweet styrofoam. And they make a great addition to salads because you don't have to cut anything up, and it gives it a little color. And people will think you're crazy because normally white berries are poisonous, but not in this case. So it might not be the easiest plant to find. I got this one from Tree Search Farms here in Houston. But if you are in that subtropical range, look into the Callicarpa longissima, because I think the edibility of its berries puts it above the others. All right, I'm going to show you guys another cool plant. Right over here on the edge of the pond is where I grow water chestnut. And water chestnut is one that is kind of marginal just because we don't have enough heat. It's pretty crazy to not have enough heat in Houston, but we have winters that are long and cold, and this is a fully tropical plant. But these little tubes, rush-like plant, is water chestnut, and it's in these pots and in the pond itself. And it's one kind of like a nut sedge. It just makes these little nuts, and if you follow me back to the water tank, I'll rinse it up and eat it with you. Alright, so here's the water chestnut, and like many things out here, I got the initial starters from the grocery store, and not 100% take. It's you know, it's something where a lot of the grocery store ones have been cut on top, so they're damaged. But if you want to grow them, then you need to plant them in a warm time of year, because they're not going to do well unless they really get the heat. But plant them in under about 2 inches of water. So underwater, about 2 inches deep is what's best, and get them pushed in just enough so that they'll grow. And I don't know if I made it clear, but the pointy end is up and the kind of hollow end is down. And but anyway, these are water chestnuts just like in your Asian grocery store, and the chickens are helping me eat the rest. But it's good, starchy, sweet, and they really are. All those buckets have just been perennial. But what is cool is that they store really well in the refrigerator. So let's say you're worried about them freezing out, even though they haven't. Just put them in, clean them, rinse them, put them in a Ziploc bag. 3 months, easy. They'll last in the fridge as long as it's cold and they're moist, and then you can replant them in the spring. So grow water chestnut. All right, you guys, the next plant to share is going to be sugarcane. I love growing sugarcane, mainly because all of the kids that I see in my garden classes, they'll eat sugarcane. So it's an easy one to sell. It's also an easy one to grow. It basically just needs full sunlight and moisture. It does help to have a nice rich soil, but it's not the end of the world. It can do well even if it's marginal soil. So this is a nice big sugar cane. It's a chewing cane, so it's got a thicker stem than some of the agricultural canes. And I'm going to cut a piece so I can show you guys my technique for how I share it quickly with the kids. Now that is a nice fatty. And so what I do, well, first off, sugarcane is really easy to propagate. So the way they grow sugarcane is they just plant the stem horizontally. It's called a billet, and they cut them in about 4-foot sections, because if you'll zoom in right here, we have got a bud and we have got roots. And so all it needs is this point to be solid and secure, and that sugarcane will shoot a new plant up. So they plant sugarcane just by laying it on the ground, covering it with some good mulch, and you do this around October. It's a little late because what you want it to do is to flush out some growth, so basically get established, and then get frozen down. So it's got its established roots and it's ready to pop as soon as the spring comes, so it can grow all summer. So you only get to harvest sugarcane once a year. It's only sweet in the fall. It may be big during the summer, but it will not be near as sweet as if you wait till September, October, November. So that's the tips for growing it, and I'm happy to share sugarcane cuttings for you guys to plant and grow, because it's such a great plant. Anyway, so this is what I do. I ring it, trying not to cut all the way through. And you guys probably could find this online as well. But there we go. Cut it, ring it, and then at the top, I peel it down and pop off the edges. Tough angle. And then I cut off these nice big fatty pieces and pass them out to friends. So, camera one. And man, it's a good sugarcane. Very sweet. Danny, my brother's here, so it's a treat. They're from out of town. Here you go, man.
Thank you.
Now, you always have the gross part. You have to spit out the fiber, but at least you can then start eating your sugarcane and using it, because unless you have a press, you're probably not going to be able to use much other than eating it like this. But it's a great garden snack, and you should grow it. So do. Peace.